I asked if she'd be willing to chat. And she said, yeah, let's talk this Friday and we can talk on the phone. And then I went to the airport and I bought a plane ticket to Switzerland. And then she said, okay, I'm ready to like talk now. I'm like, great, because I'm going through immigration right now in Zurich.
This is Life in 7 Songs from the San Francisco Standard. I'm Sophie Behrman. I'm joined this week by Justin McLeod, founder of the dating app Hinge. If you happen to be single or have been single in recent years or know anyone who is single, you have almost certainly heard of Hinge. A deep belief in the power of love is not just a marketing ploy for Justin. His own love story is one of love lost and found again. It even became the subject of a New York Times Modern Love column, which was later adapted into an episode of the Amazon series of the same name. That love story and the lessons Justin learned along the way is tightly entwined with the story of how he built one of the most successful dating apps in the world. It's truly one for the books. Justin McLeod, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I want to dive right in with your first song because it feels very prophetic given your life story.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate power ballad. Meat Loaf's I'd Do Anything for Love, but I Won't Do That. So tell me why you picked this song.
As a kid, I loved big love ballads. Whitney Houston and, Celine Dion and Bryan Adams, like all these people from like the late 80s, early 90s and their big love ballads. And Meat Loaf, I just really remember that song, that album, Bat Out of Hell, driving around with my mom in the car, like belting that song out. I would do anything for love. I'm forgetting like how dramatic this song is. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A flair for the drama was also probably part of my life.
What do you think drew you to those big, powerful love songs at such a young age?
I was like a serial monogamist from the time I was in like second grade, and I just was always I don't know really what it was. I feel like I just was here for love. I think it's like deeply part of my like dharma on this planet. And I just loved love songs as a kid. I just did. And it does feel kind of prophetic that I look back on my life and there were kind of like two big threads. One was math and computers and like that world, and the other was love. So it's interesting how they like wove together in the end for my career.
And I guess painting more of like a general picture of your childhood, like where did you grow up? What was it sort of like?
Sure. I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. I was a only child, like growing up in the suburbs. I was just like always a very social kid. Like, I don't know, I was just like always surrounded myself with people, especially by the time I got to high school. I was someone who was always at the center of everyone and everything in the social scene and bringing people together and introducing people to each other. But also at that time, starting in high school, I started drinking and found my way to like other drugs, and addiction became like a pretty big part of my story during high school and during college.
And you chose a song from this time of your life in high school, Time by Pink Floyd. What does this song signify for you?
Growing up in Louisville, Kentucky, I just felt like I was, I don't want to say like wasting away a little bit, but I just like felt very bored. I was always like, I knew I was like a pretty smart kid. And I also had like a huge hunger for like excitement and adventure and novelty, and not feeling like I had a lot of ways to go do that, and explored it through a lot of drinking and partying instead, which was like my way of risk-taking and adventure. And I think that song just kind of captured the angsty, wasted time, not sure what I'm doing with my life kind of moment in my life.
Told you when to run. You
Yeah, I think that captures it.
Is this a song that you would have been listening to even in the midst of drinking or drugs, or is it more a song that you, chose because the lyrics speak to that feeling?
No,
or
it's
even
definitely
both?
a time that I was definitely listening to the song at that time. That's how I picked all these songs, actually. These are just like the soundtrack to what was going
Yeah.
on in my life at the time, and the
Yeah.
songs that I kind of had on repeat at each phase of my life. And
Yeah.
that was that time for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just a time of like really feeling a bit lost, honestly.
Did your parents know what was going on with your addiction?
I don't think they really knew until my freshman year of college. I got in so much trouble my first year at school. Even though I had like pretty good grades, I had to spend my summer in rehab in order to even come back for my sophomore year of college. And at that point, I think they became aware.
How bad did it get? Was there like a low point in high school or college?
Yeah, I mean, my freshman year, I didn't go to bed sober once my freshman year of college. And I had gone to go see a drug and alcohol counselor towards the end of that year on my own volition, just to be like, gosh, I feel like things are getting a bit out of control for me. And she actually told me, she's like, gosh, Justin, I think you're probably an alcoholic and you should, stop drinking. And I'm like, well, let's not be rash. That seems like a dramatic fix to that problem. And then it was only like a few weeks later, and I got written up by campus safety, I think like 3 times in one night. And at that point, they like referred me back to the same drug and alcohol counselor who was like, this kid needs help. And she's the one. I ended up having an incredible relationship with her. Her name was Jane, and she actually saved my life probably. But she's the one that actually referred me and is the reason that I spent that first summer in rehab.
Wow. And in the midst of all this, you also met someone extremely important.
Yeah, it feels all so tied together because when I got back that very first night, I, through happenstance, met Kate, who became my college girlfriend and is now my wife. I mean, our meet cute was not the cutest of meet cutes. She found me passed out in a stairwell because I was out celebrating my release from rehab.
Oh, no. Oh, wow.
So we were on again, off again throughout college. Yeah, we were just very, very close during that time and got very, very close during that time and just had this very instant connection with each other. She's just got this like huge personality, really magical, larger than life way about her that I was just really drawn to from the beginning.
And the on again, off again part of that, was that just because we're kids in college, or did it also have to do with what you were going through and sort of the stress of working on recovery?
Yeah, I mean, she was just a very different person. I mean, she'd have showed up to college and she'd never had a beer or kissed a boy and like went to an all-girls Catholic high school in New Jersey. And so we were just like very different human beings with very different experiences. So there was a lot of tumult in the beginning.
Well, you shared a song that captured the feeling of your relationship with Kate. It's "At the Top of the World" by the Juliana Theory. How would you and Kate listen to this song?
It was just this like fun, joyful song. I think in early love, you feel like you meet someone and you can go anywhere and do anything with that person. And that song, I think, really captured that. And we used to listen to it in my car driving around the hills near Colgate, where we went to school. Yeah, it's just when I think about that time of like meeting Kate, that's like the number one song that comes to me.
We're at the top of the world, you and I. We've got a lot of time and it sure feels right, 'cause you reached in your pocket and pulled out a pass that says you can take me anywhere. Sha-la-la-la.
Yeah, it was just like a really fun time and feeling like we could leave there and go anywhere and do anything. And just always kind of like knew and felt like we were a really, really good team.
Do you have like a favorite story from college that you always kind of remember, like whatever it was doing with her?
Oh my God. Our college days they were like very wild and tumultuous. Like I even remember, I ran for student body president and she was my campaign manager. and God, I remember it was just, again, like the wild, tumultuous time. Like I think that one of our people on our like campaign team like quit our campaign and went to another campaign, and she like literally got into a physical altercation with the person. Like we decided to jet the weekend of the election and just go down to Miami and spend the weekend down in Miami too. Like we were just wild, and we were wild together.
Did you know Kate was sort of your person at that point?
I was young. I mean, I was 19 when we met, and she was 18 years old. So I think I had some sense of that, but it also felt so early in life. I'm not sure I had a mindset towards like the one yet. And yet she kept feeling like the one. So we would like break up, and then we would get back together, and we would break up, and it'd be like, we're too young and we have to go out and like live our lives. And then we would end up back together.
At the risk of something of a spoiler alert, your relationship ended. And your next song is Apologies by Grace Potter and the Nocturnals. How come?
The party came to an end for sure. I at the end, I got sober, actually the day I graduated from college. And we tried to make it work one last time after that. She'd actually transferred schools and had gone on to an all-girls college in Boston. And I just like wasn't ready yet for a real relationship. I don't think. I still had so much growing up to do and sobering up to do. And it was heartbreaking because I like knew I loved her a lot, and I knew that she also loved me. And at the same time, I just didn't feel like I was ready for that relationship. And it was heartbreaking because I knew I was like giving up the relationship, and she very quickly met someone else and ended up moving across the ocean to Europe with them. And and I think that was just like a time of just heartbreak and regret, and and a real sobriety on multiple fronts, feeling like getting sober from drugs and alcohol, obviously, but also just getting sober about life and facing the reality that I wasn't ready for that relationship.
Said it's crazy how love stays with me, yeah. You know when it hurts me, 'cause I don't wanna fight this war, and it's amazing to see me reading through this scene of love and fear.
Yeah, I think it was just a like really tough time. And I think that song just like captured the regret and the sadness.
Is it challenging to think back to that time?
Yeah, it's emotional. It's funny, like going back to like the actual like listening to these songs, because before this podcast I had to like write down and pick all these songs, but I didn't even go back and listen to all of them. And it's interesting how much actually listening to them again can bring up and like put you back in those moments.
Yeah, it can be kind of intense. You mentioned something, you said you got sober the day you graduated. Mm-hmm. How did these things work internally that, after 4 years or longer of sort of working on that, you can do that? How did that present for you?
I remember waking up on the day I graduated from college and just feeling hungover and feeling like the steering wheel to my life had just like broken. Like I kept trying to like turn it one way and my life kept going the other way. I'd applied to a whole bunch of jobs at these prestigious investment banks like the Goldman Sachs and JP Morgans of the world, and I hadn't gotten a single one. And I ended up at this consulting firm in DC that I didn't really even want to go work for, and was like losing the girl. It's just all the things were falling apart, and I just really felt for the first time like I did not have control of my life. Because up until that point I still like got good grades and all these things. So I was like, I can drink, I can party, and I can also show up and do the things I need to do for life. But I was like starting to like not be able to show up for life anymore. And I also just felt like I was again, going back to like the destiny thing, I don't know, but I felt like I was meant to go like do something in the world, and I wasn't going to be able to do it if I kept wasting my life away like this. That was just a marker for me. And I moved to Washington, D.C. And I think the change in venue helped, like getting away from my friends, getting away from college, and being able to dive into work and dive into getting sober.
When we come back, we'll see more of Justin's flair for the dramatic, how he founded Hinge by the skin of his teeth, and the straight out of a rom-com grand gesture that changed everything. So after college, you got sober, you're moving on with life without Kate, and you head to Harvard Business School. And it's there that you come up with an idea for an app that would become Hinge. So tell me about that. Where did that idea come from?
A couple of things were happening simultaneously. So one was I'd been sober for about 4 years at that point, and I decided to reach back out to Kate. So I reached out to her. She responded, we got on the phone, and we actually were planning to meet back in New York over Christmas. And then a couple of days later, she called me back and she's like, you know what, I just can't. If I see you, I don't know what's going to happen. I have a life now. I'm with someone. Like, I think it's better that we don't see each other. And I was heartbroken. And I was also at business school, and I was sober, and so much of what, it was a relief a bit to leave college and go just be able to create my own world and my own friends in DC. But now I was back in business school. There's a lot of social pressure. There's a lot of partying, a lot of trips. And it was hard for me to like participate in that stuff because it was too tempting for me. So it was hard for me in a way. It was like hard for me to meet people. I felt alone even amongst the crowd. And again, someone who like really loves love, and it just lost, I really felt like Kate and I were going to end up back together. And at this point I was like, there's no way, like we're not ending up back together at this point. And Harvard Business School is going to throw this last chance dance party where everyone's going to list their crushes. And I took it upon myself to like help make that a reality, and built this little Facebook app where people could like list their friends who were crushes, and would tell you if two people liked each other. And that just got the wheels turning for me. And I accepted a job at McKinsey, a consulting firm. But I just like couldn't stop thinking about this idea of a friends of friends dating app. Like, it was a novel at the time because there were no dating apps. There were dating websites where you use a screen name and you'd fill out these long essays. And it was like, well, what if you could just kind of let yourself create a simple social profile, use your real name, connect through friends. And that idea took hold of me, and I just could not stop thinking about it, and started playing around with it and working on it, and didn't stop. Here we are.
How long did you stay at McKinsey?
I never showed up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
In fact, I kept deferring my offer because I guess I wasn't totally sure if it was going to work or not. And like a couple years in, Hinge had gotten at least decently big in Washington, D.C. and Boston and New York. And we did this ranking of like the hottest workplaces, and McKinsey was on the list. And then an email started going around McKinsey that was like, do you know the person who started this is an associate in waiting? And like at that point, they rescinded my offer.
But by that point, you had...
At that point, I was okay with that. Yeah.
So your next song is Jessie J's Price Tag, which you said captured the spirit of the moment when you were founding Hinge. How so? Mm-hmm.
Again, I guess I just remember mostly songs apparently that I was like driving to, but I was taking a road trip from Boston to San Francisco. And I just remember listening to that song and just feeling liberated in a way, because I think I got very in the competitive mindset of like, you need to get a job at a McKinsey or a Goldman or something like that. And deciding that I wasn't going to do that and just go do something that seemed crazy. Like so many people, especially even at business school, were like, this is the dumbest idea. Like, this will never work. You don't have a chance. But I didn't care. Like, I just was like, I don't know. Like, I love this idea and I think it should exist in the world. And it just seemed fun. And it wasn't about like the prestige or the money or anything like that. It was just like, this seemed like a really fun thing to work on. And I wanted to follow my heart and do that.
Can you feel that? Yeah, we're paying with love tonight. It's not about the money, money, money. We don't need your money, money, money. We just wanna make the world dance. Forget about the price tag. Ain't about the cha-ching, cha-ching. Ain't about the bubbling, bubbling. Wanna make the world.
I kind of forgot about this song, and it's so
Right?
good.
It's so
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah, it was just like a fun road trip, like driving, I was going through all the big national parks on the West Coast and really excited about this idea and just feeling like really hopeful about I was going to, go change the world with this new dating app idea.
You sort of mentioned your HBS friends or whatnot sort of doubting it, but were there any moments in the early days of building Hinge when you worried that you might be making a big mistake?
Oh, yeah, all the time. I mean, Hinge almost failed so many times. We were down to like days of cash. And yeah, I mean, it was such a wild, tumultuous time. Very stressful.
The theme of your life.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, I think I'm like realizing that as I tell the story. But it was really, really tough. And at a certain point, we kind of like rebooted the app and tore it all down from scratch. Because originally we were making it like a website that was on Facebook. And then we decided to pivot to a mobile app. And at that point, we did that, and we were throwing the launch party in DC with our like last $25,000 in funding. And we'd only raised a few $100,000 and threw this launch party for this new app. And the App Store wasn't approving the app. So we were going to launch on this day, and we had no app. And I was like, this is over. Like, there's no way. I remember sitting in my office in our little co-working space underneath my desk, covering my head in my jacket and crying and just being like, this is like the last 2 years have been for nothing.
Yeah,
and I went to bed and I woke up the next morning and the app had been approved. And there's so many little moments like that where I feel like we just made it with the skin of our teeth.
So your next song is connected to another chapter of your life. In your email to us, you referred to this chapter as Kate Comes Back. So tell me that story.
Yeah. This was late 2014. And what happened was a reporter who worked for, I was writing an article, I think, for the New York Times, reached out to me because she had downloaded Hinge, and the very first person who showed up she'd liked and matched with and fallen in love with. And she's like, how did you do this? Like, your algorithm is magic. And we met for an interview in Madison Square Park in New York, right near where our office was. And we have a standard interview and we're finishing up and we're getting up. And she's like, one last question. Have you ever been in love? And I was like, well, once a long time ago, but I didn't realize it until it was too late. She's like, well, you got to tell me the story. And so we sat down, she turned off the tape recorder. I told her the story of Kate. And she's like, listen, like, I have to tell you something. And she had this like very parallel story to mine where they didn't end up together, but they should have. And then they found each other 20 years later. And she realized at that point, like, she'd wish she'd been with this other person. And she's like, listen, I don't regret my life. Like, I love my kids. And at the same time, if I could go back and do it, I would go back. And she's like, you can't make the same mistake I did. And I was like, listen, it's definitely too late. She lives on another continent. She's getting married in a couple months.
Oh, wow.
And it's over. But she inspired me. And through like a strange turn of events, I ended up flying over to Switzerland and reaching out to Kate.
Wait. Strange turn of events being like, I just need to go? Or?
Well, if you really want the full story, it was, I had that going around in the back of my head, like I should go over there. And I was headed over to London for the launch party of Hinge in the UK. Mm-hmm. And I thought she still lived in London, but she had moved to Switzerland. I wasn't going to reach out to her because I hadn't reached out to her not since we'd talked that 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And a couple days before I was leaving, I happened to run into her best friend from college. And she's like, I think you should reach out to her. Like, I just have this feeling like you should. And so I sent her a note and I asked if she'd be willing to chat. And she said, yeah, let's talk this Friday and we can talk on the phone. And I said, okay. And then I went to the airport and I bought a plane ticket to Switzerland. And then she said, okay, I'm ready to like talk now. I'm like, great, because I'm going through immigration right now in Zurich.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I told you, flair for the dramatic, going back to Meat Loaf and doing anything for love.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you, on the plane over, like, did you even know what you were doing? Was it like, okay,
I
I'm
had
flying
no
here.
idea. I don't know what I was thinking, honestly. Like, it was such a crazy thing to do. And I was so nervous. I kept like going up to the bath. I was like throwing up in the bathroom. I was so nervous and scared of like, what was I doing? I knew we would see each other, and I was kind of convinced like, we'll see each other. We'll laugh this off. And I'm sure she'll like go off and live her life and I'll go live mine. But at least we got to have a little bit of closure. But that's not what happened. We met up in a coffee shop and talked for, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 straight hours. And at the end of that weekend, she's like, I'm going to call off the wedding and come back. And she did, and moved back to New York into my little 300 square foot apartment in the West Village after we hadn't seen each other for almost 8 years to the day. And
wow.
We still knew that it was there, and we were willing to take a chance. Well, she was willing to take a chance.
You picked a song for your reunion with Kate. It's You and Me by You and Me. Tell me about this one.
Yeah, I think we found the song shortly after she came back, and lyrics just spoke to us. It was just like a sweet song. We had it played at our wedding. It is just about like when you know that you found your person, it feels like you've always known each other and that you would go to any distance to be with that person. And we literally did. And so, I think it was just like a song that really spoke to us both.
You and me were always with each other. Before we knew the other was ever there. You and me, we belong together. Just like a breath leaves the air.
The next line is, I told you if you called, I'd come running. And I think that was just kind of like, hit it.
It's interesting, the lyrics talk about this idea of destiny, like you and Kate were meant to be. And I'm curious, as the founder of a dating app, do you believe there is only one person for each of us?
I've always said this, like, I think that you create the one. You don't necessarily find the one. If you're out there like looking to find the one, I think you'll miss it. And Kate and I made each other the one because we invested so much early in our relationship, and we like built it, over the last 22 years. And now it feels like the one. But I think you invest to create and build that feeling. That's what I say, and I mean that, and that is the advice I give to most people. And at the same time, like, there does feel something almost cosmic about what brought us together. And if it weren't for her and it weren't for our relationship, like, Hinge wouldn't exist, which also is kind of like a funny thing to think about.
Yeah, I mean, do you ever think about what your life would be like had, you not met Kate, or had Kate not called off the wedding?
It's really weird to think about like the butterfly effects of all the little things that had to happen in order for us to meet and us to break up and Hinge to get created. And now, because of Hinge, right, there's like literally millions of couples that wouldn't be together, millions of babies that wouldn't have been born. And then think about the ripple effect of all of that in the world and what's happening in the world because of all those relationships.
It's a lot of people. It's something to be proud of.
Yeah. It's something I think just to be almost in awe of. It's just a wild thing to think about.
What was it like having your love story turned into a TV show?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, we didn't even know that was happening. I found out that was occurring on literally the last day of filming because that reporter had been called by the actress who was playing her, Catherine Keener, and wanted to talk to her about her character. And so she called me and she's like, you're not going to believe this, but like, they're turning your story into this like TV series. And I'm like, oh, really? Amazing. Like, she's like, Dev Patel is playing you. I'm like, oh, cool. And she's like, and it's filming right now in Gowanus. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And so Kate and I like jump in an Uber and we drive over to the set and try to walk onto the set. And they're like, excuse me, like, who are you? And we're like, well, who are you? Like, what is this? And we're like, we're the real Justin and Kate. And they let us come on a set and set us up and like let us watch the filming of it. And they definitely took some liberties with the story. Kate would like to correct the record that she never cheated on me, which is like an embellishment of the story.
Yeah.
But it's surreal. Like the whole thing has been surreal and just a wild adventure.
Your last song is Van Morrison's Days Like This. What's the story behind this one?
Yeah, so then Kate and I had our first kid. We have 2 now, back in 2019. And when we would put him to bed every night, we would play this song. Things were hectic at the time, especially with Hinge. But it was just a reminder just to like slow down and remember that these days are just like the sweetest. And the days we'll look back on and remember is like some of like the best of our lives, even though like in the day, running a company or changing an infant's diapers and waking up at 2 a.m. or whatever can be stressful. And at the same time, like it's just such a sweet time in life. And so we just did that to remind ourselves and just reset our nervous systems at the end of each day.
Well, it's not always raining. There'll be days like this. When there's no one complaining. There'll be days like this. When everything falls into place. Like the flick of a switch. Oh, my mama told me. There'll be days like this.
Did you play that with your second baby too?
We got sick of that song eventually, although we still play it now. But our little girl's definitely like a wilder soul than our boy. She definitely got, I would say, Kate's and my more stubborn and persistent sides. Maybe we should have played that song more for her in the beginning.
Right. Sounds like your son was born in 2019, so I guess he's 6-ish.
Just
Have you
turned
guys
6, yeah.
talked to him or your kids about how you met? I mean, I know he's still pretty young, but have they heard like a version of your story?
No, they don't really know or understand yet how we met. We've told them sort of like I've turned it into a fairy tale sometimes where I will like read that, like tell that to them when I run out of bedtime stories on the shelf to read. But
I mean, it basically is one, so.
Yeah, but I'll tell it in the third person. And I'll be like, wait, is this about you and mommy?
My last question, you mentioned sort of taking it slow, and you've also talked about this flair for drama, and the story is so dramatic. But talking to you, you also have a really sort of calm demeanor and presence. And I'm wondering, were you always like this, or have you sort of found that through the drama?
I probably found it over time. And I think you go through enough ups and downs and you realize that like downs always are temporary and ups are always temporary. And you can just stop like gripping so hard and let things flow a little bit. And I think I've just learned how to be a bit more easeful, and I think that's been a learned skill for sure. I don't think I was always like this.
College Justin
I
was
still have
not.
my moments.
Well, Justin, thank you so much for sharing your 7 songs.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
This was
It's
super
definitely
fun.
a journey.
Life in 7 Songs is a production from the San Francisco Standard. If you liked this episode, you might enjoy my interview with Sam Altman, founder of OpenAI, who also shared the songs that guided him through the tumultuous life of a tech entrepreneur. If you haven't already, please like, follow, review the show. It makes a big difference. Our producer is Tessa Kramer, mixing by me and Tessa Kramer. Our theme music is by Kate Davis and Zubin Hensler. Jess Hutchison created our show art. And our music consultant is Sarah Tempexian. You can find this guest's full playlist at sf.news/Spotify. I'm Sophie Behrman. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next week.